Hey, Archie, my finances are a mess.
Well, Rob, let's do some spring cleaning. I'm Archie Hoxton.
And I'm Rob Hoxton.
And this is Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. Welcome back to the Last Paycheck Podcast, brought to you by Hoxton Planning and Management. We're your hosts, CFP professionals Archie Hoxton and Rob Hoxton. And today, we're going to talk about doing some spring cleaning. Probably all of us have been in the heat of tax season and trying to find documentation for our different accounts and W-2s and just all kinds of stuff that you've had to go searching for. And maybe you felt like, wow, wouldn't it be nice to be a little bit more organized with my money? Or maybe you realized that you've been using the same password too many times for all these different institutions. Or maybe you just are someone who likes to do spring cleaning and maybe it's time to kind of expand that into your financial life. That's what we're going to talk to you about. We've got a checklist here, which we'll actually post so that you all can get it. It'll be either on our website or also you can just reach out to us and we'll send it to you if you want to do some spring cleaning for yourself.
Yeah, as we're getting ready to file our tax returns, we're sort of in this mode of getting our financial houses in order. And if you can just stay in that mode just a little bit longer and really get things taken care of, maybe it'll make it easier next year when it's time to do taxes.
Yeah.
But there are some things that every once in a while you need to do, and we think this is a great time to do it. Kind of like around January 1st, that's kind of your reminder that January 1st, what do? We eat black-eyed peas and we change the batteries in our smoke detectors, right? Right. So when you think of April 15th, let's get our financial houses in order, do a little bit of cleaning before the spring fever really kicks in, get this stuff taken care of, and then you'll be in good shape for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So I would say the first thing, and this is something that regardless of kind of where you are in your financial journey, it's going to be important, and that's reviewing your spending. So we all have to spend money to live. It's something that over time can get pretty disorderly and disorganized. I know keeping a budget is one of the most difficult and sometimes futile.
And we're far enough away from Christmas and the holiday season so that, it's really hard to look at that in January because it's like, oh my goodness, I spent so much money.
Yeah.
But, there's enough time since then that we can look at it and not be quite so depressed.
Right.
This is a great time to do that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tools to help you do it.
Yeah, you can do it the old-fashioned way of looking through your bank statements and credit card statements, or you can also use like a tool.
A digital tool like Monarch Money or we provide our clients with an application where they can track their spending as well.
Yeah. So this is kind of a good time also to look at subscriptions. I know I will sort of accumulate subscriptions throughout the year without even realizing it. You end up, just the other day we were in Books A Million and it was like, hey, do you want to sign up for this thing? You get good deals. Without thinking, it's sure. Well, it's $20 a year. And so that sort of thing happens really easily. Maybe there's a TV show you want to watch, but it's only on a streaming service you don't have. You sign up for the free trial. You think, I'm going to turn this off before the free trial ends after I watch this show. And then you forget. And so you accumulate these automatic charges these companies just pull right out of your account.
It just nickel dimes you to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to kind of go through. Look at your subscriptions. And there are services that will actually help you look at them and cancel them for you.
Yeah. I did one. I don't remember which one it was, but I did that and I had subscriptions I didn't even know I had.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like, whoa. And the thing is that when it shows up on your credit card, it's a small amount usually. And the name that they use typically isn't anything like the real name of the service.
Yeah.
And unless you're looking at these transactions periodically, they just go unnoticed.
Some of them are lumped into big providers like Apple. Like your
Yeah.
Apple subscription might be $1 for a little bit of additional cloud space, or it might be $20 for all these other apps, or $50 that you pay through Apple, through your Apple account. And so you can't even tell what it is that you're paying for unless you actually really dig
these
deep.
vendors have figured us out. They know that none of us likes to dig into our spending and really look closely. I mean, it's not a fun activity when we could be outside, playing or hiking or playing golf or boating or whatever it is we like to do. But they figured it out. If they can create a situation where they get to charge you until you actually do something about it. We've talked a number of times in episodes about the frictionless spending. It's just so darn easy to keep spending money on things that you don't even realize you're spending it on. And so if you don't realize you're spending the money, you're probably not using the service.
Yeah. Now there may be some subscription. I mean, we're all going to have subscriptions that we need, but there are opportunities potentially to look around and say, okay, how can I combine any of these into one and maybe save some money? Maybe you're ordering things from different providers, or maybe you go and do them all through Amazon Subscribe and Save or something like that. There are some ways that you can consolidate, or, bringing your insurance policies to one provider and getting a deal that way. So as you're kind of looking through, that might be something to consider too. Can I combine any of these and save some money?
Don't.
And of course, you want to make sure that you have a good handle on your spending. And if you have a good financial plan, make sure that what's in the plan matches what's happening in reality, in your actual spending.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we do every year. And it's for clients when we update their financial plans is we look at the plan and their spending goal, like what they say that they're going to spend for their, daily and monthly expenses. And then we actually look at the transactions, and oftentimes they're actually spending more than they had planned to. And in some cases, they're spending more than they realize that they're spending. And so one of the important things that we do, and it's not what we enjoy doing, is it's to bring to their attention, hey, folks, you are planning on spending this much. You're actually spending a bit more. Do we need to adjust your goals and see if that's a sustainable spending level, or do you want to try to live within the budget that you set for yourself?
Right.
So from a financial coaching standpoint, we do that for our clients. But if you're not using a coach, you're not using a coach that does that, you need to make sure that at least once a year, and this is a great time to do it, that you're taking a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, because small adjustments over the course of a lifetime, or small errors over the course of a lifetime, can mean huge differences in results.
Yeah.
So another item, so we'd talk about reviewing spending. Another thing to do would be kind of decluttering your financial accounts. I know it's over the course of a career, it's easy to accumulate lots of different types of financial accounts, bank accounts, savings, checking and savings accounts, old retirement plans that from some company you worked for years ago that you left, and the plan is just sitting there kind of doing whatever it's doing. Old credit cards that you don't use. Now you gotta be careful about closing an old credit card, because that can shorten your credit history and affect your credit. But, having all of these sort of accumulated accounts that serve no purpose to you, one, it can make tax time complicated, because you have a savings account that's issued a 1099 INT for 99 cents of interest or whatever. Technically you need to report that, but that makes this sort of gathering information for taxes much more complicated.
Yeah, and if you're not tracking all of your various accounts, it's really hard to be able to. How do you keep an eye on it to make sure that there's no fraud happening?
Right.
Right. So and there are so many fraudsters out there, and they're getting your information, because it's all out there in the wind for anyone to see. They're getting your information and they're getting access to accounts. They're using AI now to cheat you out of your money. If you're sending checks in the mail, they're intercepting the checks and washing them and taking your money that way. There are just so many ways. I really think it's important to have a very manageable number of accounts that you transact with and watch them.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's
Watch 'em
one thing you should
closely.
do when you review your spending habits. Highlight any transactions that you don't recognize and make sure that they were actually you and not someone else.
And again, you can aggregate all of these different types of transactions into an application like the one that we use, that we provide our clients through their client portal. There are others that are commercially available that do a good job of that, but it allows you to keep track of it.
Yeah. So, and you can also, if you have investment accounts, it's important to make sure that if you're not going to consolidate them, that they're getting the management and attention that they need. And often it's just simpler. If you have an old 401k, roll it to your new 401k or roll it to an IRA, and make sure that you don't have too many accounts that you have to go and rebalance and manage, and make sure there aren't any that are just sort of like sitting there gathering dust, without any attention paid to them.
How about passwords?
Passwords are really important. And again, so that's another reason to consolidate and use fewer institutions and fewer accounts. That's fewer passwords.
Right? Just like changing your batteries in your fire and your smoke detectors in January, why don't you just change and update and put new passwords on all of your accounts in April?
Yeah. Many institutions require it, but
Not
not
all.
all of them. So it's really important to practice really, really good, maybe you call it password hygiene. Have strong passwords, have a good secure password manager.
Don't use the same password for multiple applications.
Yeah, use unique passwords, use long passwords, and update it frequently, and use multi-factor authentication. This would be a good opportunity to say, do I have multi-factor authentication set up on my financial accounts?
So in that case, you need to know what the username and password is. So you've got to have that information, and you have to have the device, usually your smartphone, a device. And if you don't have both, you can't get in. So a crook may crack the code on your password, but if they don't have your cell phone, your smartphone, they won't get in if you have the multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
Right. That's great advice.
So another thing you can do and this isn't as much related to passwords, but more related to financial security, is read your credit reports. You get to pull them once a year from TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. These are the 3 credit bureaus. You can pull them once a year, and without affecting your credit, and they're free. So you pull them, review them, make sure there's nothing fishy about them. And sometimes, unless you're someone you foresee needing to make a credit application at some point in the near future, it can make sense to freeze them, to freeze your credit. You can always unfreeze it, but that
So that
way
somebody else
someone
can't
else
apply
can't
in
apply
your
for
name.
credit in your name
Yeah.
if they somehow get your information. So that's something to do, just as a part of making sure everything is in good order, and no one's getting into your information, no one's stealing your identity, taking out loans in your name.
I love this next one, Archie. To review your saving and investing. At the end of each year, if you're working, that's when you normally get a pay raise.
Yeah.
So you're getting a pay raise for your current self.
Right.
Right. Consider giving your future self a pay raise by increasing, to some degree, the amount that you're actually saving for the future. Right.
Yeah.
Send some of that forward to the person that you will someday be. If you don't do it now, you may find that you're sorry that you didn't in the future.
401ks are a great way to do this because it's automated, and you can choose really small increments. So it might be, especially lately, increased cost of living, it might be difficult to picture going from a 5% contribution to a 10% contribution. But it's much more manageable to say, well, okay, I'm not gonna, hold that expectation over myself, but maybe I can do from 5% to 6% or to 7%. That's meaningful, and it is a contribution to your future and to your retirement, to your ability to have some income when you can't work anymore. And so anything is better than nothing. Considering that as sort of, let me just once a year take one baby step in that direction of saving more. I would say another aspect of reviewing your investments is checking your asset allocation, right? If you have a portfolio in a 401k or an IRA or a brokerage account that has some ratio of stock funds to bond funds, look at what that ratio is. If you're planning to retire this year and 90% of your money is in stocks, you might want to consider rebalancing and moving that back to reducing that risk.
Yes, that volatility is not your friend when you are retired. It is your friend when you're accumulating and you're still working. But when you get to retirement, you need less volatility.
Right.
So that your money lasts longer.
Right.
So that's important.
And, even if you are sort of, heading down towards retirement and you're a ways off, maybe your portfolio has become too conservative. Oftentimes if you kind of just pick something without really thinking about what it is, it can be a little more conservative than you might otherwise be.
And I would say if this information is helpful to you and you'd like to have a copy of the checklist, which is right here, just send us an email at lastpaycheck@hoxtonpm.com. We'll get it right out to you, no charge. Share it with whomever you think might find it helpful, and we'd be happy to send it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed it and hope you have a chance to do some financial spring cleaning and give yourself a little bit more peace of mind about your finances, a little bit more security. But remember, leave us a comment with any thoughts or questions that you have. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you know when we put new content out. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. You've been watching Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. If you like this show, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Last Paycheck is available anywhere you get your podcasts.